Dort. This is Lee Dort, and I'm down to dunk. This is Lee Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
I'm Josh Giddey, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, this is Kenny Hustle, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Darius Bazley, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Poku, and I'm down to dunk.
I love cereal. Captain Crunch, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Cracklin Oat Bran.
Oh, I can have these. I'm gonna share with my team, but I'm gonna hog most of it.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Monday, it's my good friend, Michele Barra. Michele, what's up?
Hey, Valentine's Day. But we are talking basketball, nothing related with love or anything. We're just looking at the brute nature of numbers and trades.
We love numbers and we love basketball.
That's true.
I mean, this is true. So I wanted to kind of look at some numbers around the Thunder today. Talk about team building stuff, what the Thunder can do moving forward, some possibilities. But first, let's talk about Aaron Wiggins, who's signed a contract with the Thunder, 4 years, $6.4 million with a team option on the fourth year. He's also going to earn $1 million this season, which is great for him. Thoughts on Wiggins and his role with the team moving forward?
Well, I like the fact that he has at least another year guaranteed. I think the second one is fully guaranteed. The third one is non-guaranteed. And the last one is a team option, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a little bit more than compared to what I think Moose like Brown got last year. So slightly different. I think that the value,
because remember when he signed it, Alex read it perfectly. They ended up trading anyways, but it was barely a commitment to him.
Yeah, it's basically, I remember he phrased it like they gave themselves the possibility to have a contract with him next year or something like that. which no, with Wiggins is at least a 2-year deal, and then maybe more. I mean, to me, he deserved that. He's playing well. He's playing within himself. He's working very hard defensively, and he shows some stuff on offense. I mean, last game he had a few moments where even the commentator on the other team, they basically said, "Wow, that's a move from Wiggins." He had 2 dribble penetration with defensive finish. I mean, he's an athletic guy, 6'6". You want to sign those guys to at least a tryout contract. I mean, next year the books of OKC are not clean, but for that number, I mean, sure. I mean, he plays a position of need. If he somehow ends the season on a high note, and either he's in your plans or he's a nice sweetener to put in a trade. So I really think that it's proper value for Wiggins, and he deserves a shot. And I really like what he brings to the team.
Yeah, from the Thunder's perspective, it's low risk with potential reward there for them. If he's a rotation player in 2 seasons when there'll be a more competitive team, then wow, what a value.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't work out, you give him a shot to play 2 seasons and you waive him in the third,
Yeah, or you trade him with the other team, just taking the opportunity to try him out. Yeah. Say that next season, for some reason, he doesn't work here at the deadline. Hey, you can swing him to another team. They have full control over his future. And so they would probably be willing to take him on and just try him out for 3 months, 2 months, whatever, and then face the decision of guarantee his contract or not in the summer. So these contracts are just for the player. I mean, it's $1 million this year and $1 million and change next year. I know that there is taxes. There are taxes. There is the agent's fee. They have to live in a very, I would say, competitive environment in terms of money. So it's not that they are living the regular life of a human being. But still, these are good money to make. So it's for him, I think it's worthy. So it's a good deal.
Yeah, it's great. for the 55th pick to get a guaranteed contract for any length of time is great. You know, because he, was probably going to be fighting for the G League. He's on a 2-way contract, and it'd probably be hard for him to get this opportunity in any other team. So it was, good for him to take it, and hopefully things work out. I really like him as a player. I think as a defender, he's got a lot of tools. Offensively, he's got to prove himself as a 3-point shooter.
Yeah. And
if he can do that, then you're talking this is a very valuable player. So we'll find out.
And I think that this is, I think I touched on this on Thunder After Dark yesterday with John. But I think that this is also something that OKC can spend over the years, like in terms of if you are like a player that is not in the first round or even not in the early second round, I think that agents will push towards OKC because, hey, those guys, they will have a real plan for you. If you are good enough, then you can sign a 2-way, and then if they will get you minutes, they will give you minutes. You'll get in the court, and you'll have the fair chance to prove yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very important because for a team like OKC, where access to talent is limited to a certain ways, having the possibility to try out good guys that are maybe not first round picks. But they have still talent. This is, I think, very important going forward.
Yeah, this is how the Sixers found Covington and TJ McConnell and guys like that. Guys who are still in the NBA today, playing roles for teams. They were found because the Sixers just kind of cycled through some guys, and and if you look at it, the Thunder aren't going to have a ton of opportunity to do that in the next few years because they're going to be bringing in like guaranteed spots for rookies. That's like the blessing and the curse of like having so many picks is that you're not going to have these spots to just cycle through upcoming. And I guess that's why it's good to have your 2-way slots because you always kind of have that there. But, creating roster spots is going to get a little bit more tricky. Right now, there's even guys left on the roster that I think have potential to be waived before the end of the season, where they could create another spot for somebody else. In the next 2 seasons, they may have too many guys that they are invested in to be able to really do that.
Sure. I also think that times are different now. I was thinking a while ago, like, remember how Scott Brooks used to handle the rotations? You had 9-10 guys, period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that even in a competitive environment, had OKC being like a little bit more than what they are right now, I think that you can cycle through, especially in this pandemic time where like everything is, but you can find space for like the last 2 men in the rotation, just cycle through. And of course, it's not like Wiggins that he's having like starting minutes in this season. I also think that a lot will depend on how OKC will consolidate a few of their picks. I don't think that they will draft everyone. There are draft years where they have like 7 potential picks, which I don't anticipate them to use on 7 different players.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah,
won't be able to.
Yes, but you're right. This year and probably the next are the years where, hey, we can take in guys and give them real opportunities.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe this is how OKC will use G League and end of the bench roles. Like giving real opportunities to players. It's something that at some point you have to take let's say an MO as a team, and maybe this is what OKC will do.
Yeah, and it will depend on like what do they want to do with Darius, and what do they want to do with Lou, and what do they want to do, with some of these older guys. They're not going to keep everybody. Like they're just not Poku. Like they're not going to keep everybody. So, maybe I'm overreacting a little bit, but it'll just be interesting to see over the coming years with the roster crunch happening, and this is another reason why it was so important they did that deal with the Heat, is that having another pick in the 20s coming in is not exactly helping you today.
Exactly.
If that pick in the 20s, even if the pick is in the 20s in 2025 or
Yeah, it's not ideal.
2026, it's not ideal, but remember the Thunder were using picks like that to fill out the rest of the roster, not with the player in the draft, but to go find somebody. That's when the Thunder can go get their Derek White or whoever to fill in on the wing, or to fill in go get a big man to fill in. Like, you can use that pick then, even if it's going to be like, wow, like the Heat are one of the best, 10 or 12 teams in the league. It still holds value. It's still a first round pick that can be used, in a trade. And the upside there's still tremendous upside there, because it could be completely unprotected in 26, and you don't know what they're going to look like. So it's another reason why it was important, because if you're getting that pick sooner, it's just going to be really hard to develop 10 guys that you have a ton of resources thrown at.
And right now we are looking at the roster spot full of young players. But suppose that we are in a different dimension and OKC drafts not Josh Giddey, but I don't know, Jalen Green or even Cade. And suppose that, again, we live in a very different universe, and Ben Simmons really wants out, and OKC is one of the places that he wants to be in. I mean, to have
we are in some sort. We're not even on the same planet anymore.
No, I know, but it's just to say, hey, there is a young player at the beginning of his extension that for some reason needs to be moved. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens sometimes. Or he's a superstar that has a lot of years. Maybe OKC is on the high side in terms of results. Hey, Chris Paul went to Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix is not OKC, but still.
Yeah.
Sometimes stuff like that happens.
There will be another Paul George,
Exactly. And in that moment, I mean, Dort, Bazley, Pokusevski, 2 first-round picks. Who knows? I mean, maybe that is the trade that nets you like a superstar, and there you go. I mean, 3 guys in a heartbeat and 2 picks for 1 guy. This 5-to-1 trade. I think that this is also a path that OKC may explore in the future. I mean, it's not a guarantee that there will be a star that fits the mold, that fits everything that OKC is building, and is willing to say, hey, I'm going to be there for as long as my contract says, and then we'll regroup at the end of it. But I'm fully committed for the next 3 years. Right. So in these opportunities, the more young players that are promising with picks you have, the easier it is to do trades, because let's be honest, not everyone is a fan of just first round picks, especially if those are not like tangible somehow. If they are just there, and maybe they are good, maybe they're bad. If you have like a Dort, this is value. Like, you can see, you can touch it. Yep. So it's I think that having both is going to help.
Without a doubt. And it does help that Darius has been good lately, not only for the team, but perhaps in future trade too. Like, he's a guy that's like, you look at the deal that, this is way back, the deal that got the Celtics Kevin Garnett. It was just like a bunch of young guys, and some picks to get to Boston, and just like a bunch of potential. Al Jefferson was probably like the best player of that, and didn't have a great career after that. But the Thunder have some Al Jefferson like players, coming. Like
Oladipo and Domas. I mean, you mentioned it before. Oladipo and Domas. Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess Dort would be on the same level as maybe Oladipo was at the time, but Oladipo hit heights that is going to be really tough for Lou to hit.
But Giddey plus Dort is not very different from Domas plus Oladipo.
That is true. But also, we're not implying that they would do a deal like that either.
Oh, no. But just to mention, it's not that OKC is not in a position to put 2 very good young players and picks
that's
to
a
get a
better
superstar
than Domas.
Oh yeah.
currently. It could end up being that Domas is better because like Domas did not have a good rookie season with OKC. And
yeah, but this is what you're like selling. You're not selling on All-Star Domas. You're selling on, hey, this is a promising rookie that no one likes because they are not paying attention and just looking through stats. But hey,
Yeah.
I mean, see, we all hate Sacramento. We all do, but they finally made it right in getting a good guy. Hey, very controversial opinion. This year, like everyone is killing me, so let's add to the cause and give Twitter another weapon to kill me in the future. I think that unless Tyrese really blossoms into a great all-star, not just a norm one, then this trade is just a draw. I really don't see it as, hey, wow, Indiana made a great trade and Sacramento did horribly wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, Tyrese is a very interesting prospect. Very. I really love him as a draft prospect. You know that. But Domas is great. And I mean, I don't think that this trade will change the course of these two franchises. I just think that they are mediocre right now.
Mm-hmm.
And most likely,
I mean, worse than
if they stay like this, they will be mediocre in the future.
You mean to tell me that two mediocre teams traded players and they're still mediocre?
Exactly. They basically shuffle the deck a little bit, and that's it.
The only thing to me is that the starting point of Halliburton is just a little bit easier to build around than a starting point of Domas. That's it.
True.
So to me, that's the only thing. But yeah, I think Domas has been good, really good for them so far, and has given them some juice that they haven't had in a while. And they'll have a shot to make the play-in. And
awesome.
That's about all they can ask for at this point. Okay, let's take a look at some stats. The Thunder currently sit at 27th in net rating in the league. They're 9th in defense, which is just so funny. 30th in offense. They are just by far the worst offensive team in the league. There's not really any redeemable metrics out there. I tried to dig through like passing stats, and all the shooting stats are bad, and the ball movement stats are bad. The only thing the Thunder are like leading the league in is like drives per game, and like.
What about open 3-pointers?
What about them?
Do you have the? I mean, I'll have to check, but I think that they are pretty high for two reasons. A, they are good at generating those. B, no one cares if they shoot a three ball. So.
Oh, you mean just the volume of them?
Yeah, the volume. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, I mean that is a. It's easy to generate open threes when no one guards the perimeter.
Yeah, exactly. No, that is clearly a point.
They lead the league in drives, and the teams pack the paint because of it. Because they know that, like, Lou likes to get downhill, Shea likes to get downhill, Eddie likes to get downhill, and they can spray out to the perimeter, and no one's scared of any of them. Especially with the way that Shea is shooting this season. Like, nobody's afraid of any of them. So, generate shots, sure. But is that a product of the Thunder offense, or is that a product of the opposing defense?
Both.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is again really picking on very limited amount of games.
Yeah.
But it is clear to me that when they have the trade going, they can reach for stretches like very high levels of efficiency in terms of like being able to generate good offense.
Yeah.
And that is the part that makes me think, hey, they really need a good shooter. They really need Shea to be a little bit better. But if they I mean, man, I think will be more consistent in the future. It's
Hopefully so. He's been.
it's not no.
consistent,
I
but-
have no doubts.
Yeah.
It's a strength / conditioning / the NBA season is a mess in terms to do your body kind of thing. I see his shot and he's always the same. That shot will go in. To what degree, I don't know, but he will be 36, 38% shooter next year. I really think so. And with good volume. I mean, we've seen as soon as Muscala is on the court, that offense is producing.
Yeah, it's been downhill, and you have some decent ball movers to great ball movers on the perimeter. There's the potential there. There's the potential there. They really are setting up like the foundation of what they want this team to be.
Yeah,
and Mark is doing a really good job. Like he's very, very intentional about it. And defensively, the foundation is being set. Offensively, it is as well. The pieces aren't there for either, honestly. And defensively, they're in the top half of the league, in the top 10 in the league, because everybody's bought in.
Yeah, they don't have a rim protector. I mean, I know that Bazley is blocking shots, but it's not the same. I mean, he can bother guys one-on-one. This is not like really being a rim protector. I mean, they are not using him as, hey, drop and let's like allow the defense to say, hey, this is our rim protector. Just funnel guys towards him and we're good to go. No, they are not using that strategy. They are really moving, rotating, switching, and do a lot of stuff. And they are incredible at that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Man, who is probably the weakest link on the recent starting units, he's doing switches and moving and like repositioning. They are using him as sometimes he plays himself outside of the restricted area, just in the exact spot where the penetration will come. Like stuff like that means that they are really putting an emphasis on that in their training sessions. Like it's visible, the improvement that they made defensively in terms of chemistry, communication, and the lapses that they have are really limited. I mean, a young team, if you look at Houston, 2 passes, boom, they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like this team, 2 passes, like chances are that you are in a worse spot than when the first pass happened. So it's. I mean, Dagnall is coaching them too well defensively. This is the truth.
Yeah, he's done a great job. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna play a little stat game. And we're back after that quick break. Michele, in the last 5 games, there are 3 players that have taken exactly 16 threes. One of them made 8, one of them made 3, and the other made 4. Tell me who made 8, who made 3, and who made 4.
The one that made 8 is Alexei Pokushevsky. The one that made 3 is Trey Mann. The one that made 4 is... Damn, I don't know. 4 of 16.
You're right about the first one. You're wrong about the second one.
Then it's Trey Mann that made 4?
It's Kenrich that made 3.
Oh.
And Josh has made 4.
Oh, Josh. How much is Trey Mann?
Trey
shot more than 16.
Yeah, he's taken more than 16.
But the percentage will be around that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a rough go for a lot of guys from 3, except for Poku since he's come back.
Yeah.
Poku's been good. And
shh, don't say that.
The efficiency stuff, you know what? He has taken himself out of the bottom of the barrel as far as shooters go. Like he is out of the Killian Hayes zone.
Killian Hayes.
It is real. So he's shooting 61% from the field and 50% from 3 since coming back from the G League.
Yeah, clearly sustainable.
It's completely unsustainable. However, it has pulled him out of the Hayes zone, and he looks like a different player, really. And I don't know how he will continue to play the rest of the season, but he's taking good shots. He is staying active on the defensive end. He's blocked a ton of shots since he's come to, and is just getting himself involved. Like, he just is more involved. He's more willing to grab the ball off the rim and push it.
Yeah.
He looks more aggressive. I mean, it's just funny. He just looks like he's in the game, if that makes sense. Like,
no. It's
into it.
Exactly right.
There were parts of his season where it was like, oh no, like where is he? Like, what is he doing? He'll like when he gets the ball, like the switch is turned on, and then he goes and does his thing, and then when he doesn't have the ball, like the switch is off, and it's like, what? Like, where is he? But he's played pretty consistently since he's come back, which has been very encouraging.
Yeah, I wonder if this is also a byproduct of the fact that when Shea and Muscala are off the court, a lot of the two-man game combinations are not there. I mean, it's not that they have a go-to tandem that does always the same thing, and if they do it, it most likely work. So I wonder if this is forcing guys like Pokusevski being way more active and way more involved in the offensive side of the ball, which is always that we always said about Shea, that the offense works with Shea, but he's working because of Shea, and sometimes it's not involving other guys as much. I mean, this is why I think Curry and Jokic are really transcendent players in terms of their team impact, is because yes, the entire team gravitates around them. It's clear that they are the engine, but they are not like, they basically make every other guy work and function around them. And I think that this is the level that Shea needs to reach in order to be a super duper all-star in a way that works with the philosophy that Dagnall has for this team. And I'm sure that he will get there because he's smart and he's already like adding stuff to his game. So maybe he will not get there next year, but maybe in 2 years. So back to Pokusevski, I really love the units with him and Bazley as the 4 and 5. I don't care about, like, yes, you cannot go with that against Embiid. Who cares? I mean, Embiid, Jokic, yes. Anthony Davis, hey, it's not that Anthony Davis will run 25 post-ups against Bazley. And if he does, awesome. I mean, to me, like, are you really playing 25 post-up possessions? Do it. I mean, be my guest. I mean, if this is, you will score, sure.
Yeah.
But to me, like, that unit really works because you have these two weird, long ball handlers / blockers that that can switch and can protect the paint somehow. So I really love that, and I think that this is these are lineups that were nowhere to be seen at the beginning, and then slowly they're going to be using them way more, and I really like it.
Yeah, it was really working against the Bulls in the first half too.
Yeah,
and even in the second half, it was impressive to see them hang with that team. Because the Bulls are missing a lot of guys. Man, the Thunder are missing a lot of guys too.
Yeah, yeah. Vucevic said as much at the end. Yeah, we miss the guys, but hey, they're missing key guys too. So no excuse here, and we just had to play better in the second half.
Yeah, it was fun. Darius has really played well, and a little bit of the same stuff that I talked about with Poku, where he would just kind of float around for periods of the game. Like, I haven't seen Darius do that in a long time.
Yeah,
and he's continued to stay engaged. He talked post game and gave some really just kind of fascinating answers. He was really discontent. Like, that's the mood that he had when he sat down to talk to us, was that he was completely discontent with how he played, with how the team played, with the result. He was extremely discontent. And kind of how these press conferences go is that typically, and it's not always true, but typically it's Nick Gallo or Paris asking a question first. And it's usually has some kind of positive spin, or it usually has some sort of like overarching thoughts about the game.
Yeah.
And, Nick was trying to highlight a really good portion of the game for the Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
And Darius just like not having any of it and was extremely upset. And you can go see these on my Twitter profile. If you don't follow me, you can follow me at Andrew K. Schlecht and go see. I posted 2 of them. And then the post game, we were asking, I asked Mark about just Darius and like, how did he get here? Like, how did he, what's been the path outside of like, don't tell me about the reps. Like, I know he's going to say reps. Like, of course, like he's young, he's gotten a lot of reps that helps. But like, what else is it that has made Darius a better player? And he talked about how he is a perfectionist. He talked about how he's a guy that he would bet on. He said that he's a guy that I would just continue to bet on. And, Joe asked Bazley after the game about being a perfectionist, and he kind of spoke on that, how it's a blessing and a curse, and how a lot of times he doesn't even let himself think about the good that he does in games because he's like trying to, take out the bad stuff. And he's begun to even recognize all the stuff that we talked about, during this season, which has been like shot selection and what he's doing with the ball. I mean, he's told us that he wants to simplify his offensive game. He's saying all the right stuff, and he's really started to be kind of a quote machine, which has been a really interesting.
Yeah, and doing the right stuff. I mean, one of the things that I really noticed was his drives at the beginning of the season where, hey, if I'm going like too wild, then I throw an even wilder pass just to see if I can get the ball somewhere. And then like slowly you started seeing these intentional passes on the second step. Like, this is not, hey, I'm in trouble. It's now, hey, the defense is reacting. Let's see who's open. I mean, Ibaka, I remember like when he could just do one dribble looking towards the left and then boom, corner. Like, and it was just a miracle because, hey, he's not shooting it. He's passing.
How can he do something? Yeah.
Yeah, and Bazley is doing that completely in the flow of the game. Like, watches with the peripheral vision, man who's moving, and boom, the ball is there. So those stuff to me, and I remember that you told me that he's talking on the defensive side of the court, like since like a couple of months probably. But those things to me are clear tell that he is going in the right direction. Will he succeed? Who knows? Like, the NBA is tough. So you never know what's ahead. It may be a regression because something doesn't work the way he wants. He may be like an explosion. Who knows? But to me, the process is good, and so it's good to watch. It's really good to watch because you can see really a player that is maturing in the right direction.
Yeah, it's been fun to see, and part of you think part of it's. I mean, he's right. It's a blessing and a curse, and it's like it's good and bad that he feels that way. Like you just don't want it to eat his confidence, Yeah, because it does seem to eat his confidence away, which is not what you want. Like that's where it is not good. Like being a perfectionist is like it can be helpful in some ways, but it can be like detrimental in other ways. So I kind of struggle with how to take some of his quotes, honestly. Like, you want to be like excited about it, but like what he said was like very vulnerable and like very human, and it's not something that you can say like, here is the reason why he's going to be so successful, or here's the reason why he's going to fail. It's just like, man, like he's been very vulnerable and shown us like who he really is, which has been just kind of fascinating to watch, honestly. And he's been really, really good. So yeah, it's just kind of wild. Michele, I was looking at just shots in the restricted area. One, I just was curious to see where Lou is and how he's doing this season in the restricted area specifically. I want you to tell me, I'm going to name a player. Tell me if Lou is shooting better or worse than this player in the restricted area.
Oh boy, I'm not good at this.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, better or worse than Lou Dort in the restricted area?
2-3 weeks ago, I would have said for certainty that Shea was better. Over the last 3 weeks, though, Lou started on like crawling back, but I would say that Shea is better.
Shea is better.
Good.
Good job. Trey Mann, better or worse in the restricted area than Lou Dort?
He was better, but over the last 6 games, he crattered. So I would say worse.
He's absolutely worse. That's 2. Darius Bazley, better or worse in the restricted area than Lou Dort?
Oh. Over the past 20 games, better for the season, probably worse.
For the season, he is worse. 3 for 3. Alexei Pokusevsky, better or worse? He is.
I know that this is a tricky question. Damn.
Damn. He is not only better, he is 8 percentage points better.
So he's shooting like 64%?
He is shooting right now. Lou Dort's 54.7% in the restricted area. Not great.
Yeah.
Alexei Pokusevsky on the season, 62.7%.
How many attempts? Like 20?
15 or for 59 for Poku.
59. Yeah, it's not nothing.
It's not nothing.
Why I didn't think. Too quick.
Aaron Wiggins, better or worse in the restricted area?
Oh, come on. You're going to ask me everyone. Wiggins is better.
Wiggins is better. Wiggins is 64.5%.
Yeah, that's good at the rim. Very good.
He's a good cutter, like opportunistic, smart cutter.
But also good finisher. I mean, he's not just a straight line drive. He can be a little fancy.
Yeah.
There.
Josh Giddey, better or worse than Lou Dort in the restricted area?
Damn, this is hard.
This is really hard.
He's probably shooting either 52.5% or 56%. One of the two.
Okay.
I lean 56%.
You would be correct. It's 57.5%.
Okay.
You're very close. Very good. That kind of freaks me out, to be honest. Teo Maladone, better or worse in a restricted area than Lou Dort?
Is this to me, I don't know.
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. 22 attempts.
No, then it's 22 though.
It's 22.
22. Did he make 13 or not? Yes, he made 13. He's better. Oh! Come on, how many? 10?
He made 8. He's 36%.
It's so sad.
It is real sad. Real.
13 out of 22. Can he make that?
It is really bad, man. Really bad.
Oh.
Okay, let's move on to. Can we keep playing this? Is this okay?
Yeah, sure.
Corner threes. We'll just do 2 categories.
Nice.
Corner threes is okay. So we're gonna do better or worse than Lou Dort from the corners.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's quite good.
Darius Bazley, better or worse from the corners than Lou Dort?
Worse.
He's worse. 34.7% for Darius Bazley. Kenrich Williams, better or worse?
Slightly worse.
He is actually quite a bit worse than Lou Dort.
Don't tell me the percentage. Don't tell me the percentage.
9% worse.
Oh, I see. Then he's shooting 33%.
He's shooting 35%.
Oh, okay. I thought Lou was at 42, but he's better.
Aaron Wiggins from the corners.
Now worse.
He is worse. Very good. Trey Mann, better or worse? He's actually worse.
No, but he's over 40.
They're both over 40 from the corners.
Okay.
There's There are 3 players shooting better than 40% from the corners on the
The
team.
one is Mike Muscala.
Mike
Shea
Muscala is
Gilgeous
actually.
Alexander. Oh, come on.
Don't overthink it.
Am I missing someone?
Muscala is only 34.5% from the corners.
Really?
10 up 29.
Oh,
Isn't that weird?
it is weird.
That's a little weird.
It means that he's shooting like above 50 from top of the key.
I mean, he's,
Or 48, something like that.
above the break, 44.8 for Mike on 134 attempts.
Yeah, that's why.
Wow.
Insane.
That's awesome. Ty Jerome is the other one, shooting 41.9% from the corner.
Ty is so uninspiring. So Lou Dort is the best of the team from the corners?
He's 43.3% from the corners. It's 26.60. Isaiah Roby is shooting 5 of 7 from 3, and then Gabriel Beck was 2 of 2. So
yeah, but Trey Mann, like after Dallas, he was shooting better.
Yeah. Oh,
he had really a cold stretch from even from the corners.
He did. Another encouraging stat for our guy Poku: 37% from the corners.
That's sweet, and he's making himself available for that intentionally. I like that.
Yeah, it is quite encouraging. For guys that have taken volume, this is where the Thunder's 3-point percentage takes a gut punch from above the break. Lou Dort's 31.5% from above the break. Lou Dort's taken 333s from above the break, by the way.
Yeah. Like
That's
if you remove like the wing trees, I think he's shooting 38 or more. Just take like the one at the center and then the corners. I think it's above 40 in those 3 zones and very bad from the wings.
Lou's taking the 12th most threes from above the break this season in the NBA. Listen to the list of players that he's taken more above the break threes than. Some of these are going to blow your mind. He's taken more than D'Angelo Russell. He's taken more than Luka Doncic. He's taken more than LaMelo Ball, Devin Booker, LeBron James, James Harden.
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, and this is why it's so hard to.
This is almost like one of the reasons why I hold on and to him, because we look at the corner shots and it's like, wow, like that's very encouraging. And then you look at the shots, the 330 above the break threes that you're just like, that's not yours. Like ideally,
but is it
not yours?
But is it? That is my point. That is my entire. And I don't want to go back on my right at all on being like bad on Dort or anything. But it's hard to change the way you play, change the way in which you are aggressive on offense.
Yeah, I just think things have. If they brought in, I don't know, if Paolo Banchero came onto this team, like you just have to occupy different spaces on the court when
possibly
when an offensive player comes onto a real offensive player comes onto the court with Josh and with Shea.
You mean he has to sit on the bench? That is the space of the.
Just go to the corner, bro, and shoot 38% from the corner, and then shoot 35% on the year, and it's like, wow, like Lou's a really good player.
Yeah, Lou is a good player.
That's part of like why I haven't wavered a whole lot, because there are parts of me that watch him this season and think, and it hasn't been lately, he's been good lately. you watch him and you think like, is this going to work? But I
Yeah.
just wonder if he is required by the talent on the court to shift his role down. And maybe he can't. Maybe he's not able to do that, and that could be a huge sticking point. But if he's able to shift down, where it's like, hey, you're the 4th or 5th option now, then perhaps he's a more useful player.
The question to me is, are you paying him like a 4th or 5th option? That is the key of all my discussions from the beginning. And that is, to me, it is the sticking point. Yeah. Because up to now, he's not passing on trees that he can pass to other guys that are wide open. He's taking them. And that's fine this year. And it's fine because maybe next year, he'll be a guy that takes 12 threes and makes 5 as an average. Mm-hmm. If he's that guy, then hey, take 12 threes. Who cares?
I mean, at least you're finding out a little bit more. I mean, you're getting a lot of data on Lou Dort this year. I mean, if you're the Thunder, I think that you have to be pleased with what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. If only for the reason that you're collecting just a crap ton of Lou Dort data. And you do get to take it to him and his agent and say, hey, listen, we've been doing this for a long time, and we have built championship contenders. And the shot profile of Lou, when he's shifted into this role, like this is the amount that these kind of players make. And this is the role that he's been taking on, and he's not efficient enough to do this. I just wonder if I don't know how they do it, honestly. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what the strategy looks like. But
don't you think that there is a team out there that looks at Dort and said, hey, I'm willing to pay him $22 million per year?
I don't know.
You know.
There
are teams, I mean, there are teams that will pay for a young player that is able to guard the best offensive player on the other side and make 30.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess who needs a combo guard? I mean, if he were 4 inches taller, it wouldn't matter. He'd get paid that much anyways,
Yeah, but think about him in Detroit. With Cade.
Yeah, I don't know that I want.
And Jabari Smith.
Well, that's the difference maker.
I know.
That's the difference maker, because if the Thunder got Jabari Smith, then I'm fine with trying to see if everything is unlocked with a shooter like that. Thunder,
we'll see.
Jabari Smith, and Detroit's the one with, I don't know, Jay Nivey. Then it's a different, like the draft shapes everything for both of those franchises.
Yeah, I know. I would love to have Lou locked up before the draft on a very reasonable, team-friendly contract that starts at 18 and goes down.
I'd like to lock him up in a month.
Yeah. Not going to happen at 12.
I hope it does. I hope it happens. Detroit is linked to Brunson, though, this summer.
Yeah.
Like, that's a team that wants Brunson. I don't know that I like that with Cade.
No.
Small guard with Cade. I like Brunson a lot. He's awesome. He's super fun.
But he's not a good defender. Not a great defender like Dort. He's an okay defender.
Yeah. I mean, you may be onto something there. But, yeah. I'm a Dort supporter here. I like Lou.
No, me too. At the reasonable number.
Yeah.
With a reasonable role.
Yeah.
Which may be superstar. Who knows?
Wouldn't that be the best? Especially with our intro, it would just be great if Lou was like the one leading us to the championship. It'd just be our intro forever. The upcoming schedule for the Thunder play tonight at Madison Square Garden against the New York Knicks. Our guy Lou Dort is out.
Oh, great.
It was kind of the Thunder's move to the RJ Barrett sitting. So I'm just kidding. Then they play Wednesday against San Antonio, the last game before the All-Star break. And then the Thunder get some time off. Everybody does. Except for Josh. Josh is going to be at the Rising Stars Challenge, which should be kind of fun. Then they come back from the All-Star break, and they have kind of an important stretch that will shape the tank race pretty significantly. Lucky for them, Domas is in Sacramento. That's the team they play. So they come back. First game is Thursday at home, February 24th against Phoenix. And then they play second night of a back-to-back, which is helpful for OKC. It's Friday at Indiana. It's a pretty important one, as Indy is pretty close to the Thunder in the tank race. And then Sacramento. So like those two, February 28th on a Monday. In OKC, they play Sacramento. So it's kind of an important game. And then they have like a stretch of games where it's going to be tough. Denver, Minnesota, Utah, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Memphis.
Fantastic.
Like that's going to be a really tough stretch. And then they have this kind of long stretch of games where they're sprinkled in some winnable games. Wednesday, March 16th against San Antonio, winnable. Then they got Miami, and then they have play Orlando. This is all on the road. Then they come home for Boston, and then Orlando's here. So they get Orlando twice. Orlando is one of the more hapless teams in the league. And it'd be great if the Thunder could split those. And then they play Portland 2 more times. March 28th in Portland, and then April 5th in OKC.
Those will be very important games.
Extremely important. Luckily for the Thunder, though, the Blazers have won some games here. I don't know how they've done it. They're 4-6 in their last 10, which feels miraculous.
That's fantastic.
With what they've looked like. Oh, wait. No, that's New Orleans. Why am I reading New Orleans instead of them? Portland is 3-7 in their last 10. That's my bad. 4-6 is New Orleans.
Yeah, but still good. I wonder what happens in Houston.
Houston's another interesting one, man. Houston, Rafael Stone did a press conference after the trade deadline saying that they want to keep Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah.
And they like the kind of player he is.
Sure.
I am like, when was the last time that he watched him in Oklahoma City? Dennis Schroeder hasn't been a good player since he left OKC.
I have
He's
no
not
idea.
been a helpful player.
I have no idea. I mean,
he would be a helpful player to I think that he would help them win some games.
Maybe he's elated because he thinks that he's so bad.
Maybe
he will help.
Stealth tank move to keep Dennis.
Yeah, I don't know.
Schroeder. The problem is like Schroeder and Gordon and Christian Wood might overall help your tank, but down the stretch, those guys are going to will that team to some wins. It
depends.
Eric Gordon's been legitimately helpful. I just can't believe they didn't trade him. It makes the 3-game winning streak even more frustrating to me because there's like real opportunity there, and perhaps the Thunder are gonna get healthy and they're gonna win games down the stretch anyways, and they're not gonna have the shot at 3, and perhaps may even end up at 5 because Indy is like another one that is a real threat to OKC.
Oh yeah.
Like right now, the Portland Trailblazers are 5.5 games back of the tank race of OKC.
That is good.
Which is like it's a good enough cushion. You still need to at least split the last 2 games that you have with the Blazers, but it's a good enough cushion. They're only 1 game up on Indy.
To the Bitadze / whoever Indiana team. Wow.
Mm-hmm. So that's the one that I think is probably the most scary at this point. I do like what they did at the deadline. Maybe they will. They are supposed to get Miles Turner back sometime in March, which will help. So
2023.
Maybe if they get Miles, things will change a little bit. But that's another one that's scary because the Thunder are probably going to get Shea back. Probably.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go, I just wanted to throw out there the Thunder did not make a deal at the trade deadline to bring in significant money. Everybody kind of has jumped to conclusion that the Thunder, all the players are going to get paid. I just wouldn't count those eggs quite yet. It's just all I have to say. And there are ways to maneuver things before the season ends to at least take a big chunk of that money away. And
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, we all
curious
know
if
that.
they'll do it.
Yeah, like Europe is away. I mean, the season doesn't end in the same timeline as the NBA one. It
As
goes
it-
longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably 2 weeks after where most of the regular seasons are done in normal years, like end of April. Then playoff starts in May. But you may see guys at the end of or right there where the NBA season is ending. Maybe the team skips some payment. Maybe I mean, there are multiple teams in Europe. I remember when I was following the Italian second league, like you could hear in March, this team is not paying the players, and boom, they lose 5, 6, 10 in a row because the American players, which are by far the best, they're just not playing anymore. So you can maybe have an opportunity or two to bring someone over just to train with the team, maybe even not playing, like maybe playing 1, 2 regular season games, and that's it. And
Just
allocate
for a Gabriel deck type of
exactly.
transaction happening in the next, couple months. Like just be aware that those type of things could happen. And I don't know that Mitchich would come, but also don't. I mean, I'm putting it like a 3% chance of happening, but it's at least something to keep your eye on. One of the reasons why it's interesting is that, and we're almost done, McKelly. I'm sorry. Ephes is not playing well. They're 500. They're 9th in the Euro League. This is not where they expected to be. Because they have the reigning MVP. Mitchich is the reigning MVP. This is not where they expected to be. Financially, they could use some help too. And so you wonder if for all parties, it would make some sense if OKC called and said, hey, we're willing to pay a massive buyout for Mitchich and bring him over for a massive payout now.
Yeah.
Non-guarantee things for next year. See how he likes it.
And then decide.
And then decide this summer if he wants to stay.
Yeah, I mean,
you would
maybe
have to season. I don't know if he'd be willing. I've talked to some people that think that he's not willing to leave during the season, which is probably right. But it's just something to consider.
Yeah, and again, the Turkish situation is one of the most interesting from a financial standpoint. The government is putting devaluation on the currency there, so like teams are struggling to pay in US dollars. I mean, if you pay in the regular money, the Turkish lira, I think, then it's fine. But you're not paying Mičić with Turkish lira, I promise you. Those are US dollars salaries for most of or euro salaries, which is basically the same nowadays. So it's not easy for Turkish teams. And again, this is another example when the team is struggling financially, or when the company you're working for skip the payments or skip or doesn't give you the raise that they promised you or whatever, the bonus that you had in the contract, then your proficiency at work changes. And so it's the same for basketball players. I mean, they are normal human beings that likes their checks to be paid in time.
Yeah. So just something to think about, something to watch for. I'd be very surprised if there was not something done. Whether that means that they find a buyout for Derek Favors and then fill that slot with somebody, whether they cut Isaiah Roby or Maladon or somebody else. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened and they try somebody else out. It doesn't have to be Mitchich. It could be somebody else.
Yep.
Deck was one that was unpredictable, and there may be another one that's completely unpredictable coming this way again. But I would not count on the Thunder players getting all of that money. I just would not. So, all right. Thanks so much for listening to our podcast. Go follow McKelly on Twitter at Mikey Barra. Follow me on Twitter, Andrew K. Schlecht. Go leave us an Apple Star 5-star review. Apple Star? What did I say? Apple Podcast 5-star review? I don't know what I just said. Apple Podcast 5-star review. We will read it on the show on Friday. Please do that. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.